Hello there, and welcome to Space Historians. I'm so glad you're here. As you settle in, whether you're lying in bed, resting on the couch, or wrapped in a soft, warm blanket, let the weight of the day slowly melt away. You've stepped into a quiet corner of the night, and together we're about to drift gently into a journey through the living sky above us. Before we begin tonight's journey, I'd love to know, where in the world are you listening from, and what time is it where you are? It always amazes me how, while the night sky may look different depending on where we stand, the same stars have watched over every civilization in history. If you enjoy these quiet voyages through space, time, and wonder, a gentle like and subscribe help keep this channel orbiting steadily. And for those who've already joined this growing constellation of listeners, thank you. You're part of this voyage, part of this shared story written across the night sky. If you softly tap the notification bell, you'll always know when the next journey begins. Up there, above cities and forests and silent oceans, the atmosphere moves like a great invisible ocean. It flows softly and endlessly, wrapping our world in its patient, ever-changing embrace. Tonight, we'll explore that ocean. We'll wander through the secrets of weather, the soft breezes, the rolling thunderheads, the delicate snowfalls, and the sun-warmed afternoons that paint the mood of the world around us. Think of this as your invitation to float weightlessly through the clouds, all while staying safe and cozy wherever you are. Before we begin, take a long, slow breath in. Feel the cool air slip in, filling your lungs. Now exhale gently, letting your shoulders loosen and your jaw unclench. Breathe in once more, slowly, as if pulling in starlight. And as you breathe out, imagine the sky opening wide above you, quiet, endless, and calm. As the night stretches over the world, the stars seem to breathe too. Their ancient light drifts down from faraway galaxies, reaching you at this very moment. If you listen not with your ears but with your heart, you might feel the quiet rhythm of the planet beneath you, the slow turning of the earth, the soft pull of air, the heartbeat of weather. Tonight's story is about the atmosphere itself. It's about the forces that stir the air, paint the clouds, and carry rains and winds across mountains and valleys. We'll travel through invisible currents and glowing layers, tracing how every raindrop, every gust of wind, every storm begins. But there's no rush, no alarms, no deadlines here. Only slow, gentle drifting, like falling asleep in the arms of the sky. Through each chapter, I'll guide you with soft words and warm imagery, unfolding the story of weather not as a textbook, but as a quiet nighttime whisper. You might stay awake, calm and curious, or drift away into sleep. Either way, you're exactly where you need to be. Because here at Space Historians, the night has no finish line, only infinite sky. Now, let's begin our journey into the heart of the atmosphere. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine that the world around you fades away until all that's left is the soft pulse of the night air, a gentle breath on your skin, a stillness that isn't truly still, because even when everything else seems quiet, the atmosphere never really sleeps. The air around us is always moving, flowing, rising, tumbling, whispering its story in a language of temperature and pressure. And in this chapter, we're going to float through it together. We'll journey from the ground beneath our feet up through the layered sky, learning how this great invisible ocean shapes everything we know as weather. It's strange to think of air as an ocean. After all, we can't see it. We walk through it without a second thought. But we are, in fact, living at the bottom of an immense and delicate sea of gases, an ocean without water, but with weight, motion, and depth. An ocean that stretches upward for hundreds of kilometers, thinning gently until it blends into the silence of space. The next time you look up on a clear day, remember this. That bright blue dome isn't empty. It's the troposphere, the lowest layer of our atmosphere, wrapping you in its soft embrace. It holds every breeze you've ever felt, every cloud that's ever drifted overhead, every drop of rain that's ever kissed the ground. And it's so thin, proportionally, that if the Earth were an apple, the atmosphere would be no thicker than its skin. We tend to think of the sky as infinite, but most of the air and nearly all of the weather happens in a surprisingly shallow layer. If you've ever flown on a plane at cruising altitude, maybe around 35,000 feet, you've already risen above much of the air's weight. You've climbed toward the edge of the troposphere into thinner, colder, quieter realms. The air itself is a blend. About 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and a small shifting cocktail of argon, carbon dioxide, trace gases, and water vapor. It may sound simple, but this blend is one of the universe's great miracles. Just the right mix to breathe, just the right balance to cradle life. And though we don't see it, the air has weight. Every inch of your skin carries the soft, gentle press of the atmosphere above you. At sea level, that pressure is about 14.7 pounds per square inch, the weight of a small cat resting gently on every square inch of your body. You don't feel it because you're made for it. Your lungs, your blood, your very bones grew in harmony with this pressure. But this quiet weight isn't constant. It shifts, rises, and falls, and those shifts are what breathe life into weather. High-pressure days are calm and clear. The air is gently sinking, pressing downward, discouraging clouds from growing. Low-pressure days are lively. Air rises, lifts moisture with it, and builds the soft towers of clouds that can burst into rain. The atmosphere isn't a static blanket, it's alive with currents. It flows, tumbles, and turns in great arcs around the globe. All because of one simple fact. The sun does not warm the earth evenly. The equator basks in direct sunlight, glowing warm under the midday star. The poles receive a thin, slanting light that barely lifts the chill. Land absorbs heat quickly. Water absorbs it slowly. Mountains cast shadows and shape winds. These uneven patches of warmth and coolness are what make the air move. Nature loves balance, and the atmosphere is always trying, never quite succeeding, to even everything out. Picture a patch of ground on a bright summer afternoon. The sun warms the soil, and the air above it warms too. Warm air is lighter. It begins to rise, floating upward in a soft, invisible column. As it rises, it cools. Cool air can't hold as much moisture, so tiny droplets form, painting the sky with delicate streaks of cloud. Meanwhile, the cooler air nearby, heavier, denser, slides in to replace what's rising. This motion is called convection. It's the same dance that stirs bubbles in a pot of soup, just stretched across the entire world. And above this convecting troposphere, the atmosphere stretches into distinct layers, each with its own personality. The stratosphere comes next, serene, stable, home to the ozone layer, the Earth's natural shield against the sun's mischievous rays. Higher still, the mesosphere, where meteors burn like fleeting stars. Then the thermosphere, where the auroras swirl in silent green light and satellites trace their endless paths. And beyond that, the exosphere, where air thins into the breathless dark of space. But let's stay here, down low, where we live. Here, air doesn't just move up and down, it dances sideways too. When warm air rises in one place and cool air sinks in another, wind is born. Air flows from high to low pressure, seeking equilibrium like a tide. And then the Earth's rotation steps in, spinning fast at over 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, twisting and turning these winds. This is the Coriolis effect. In the northern hemisphere, winds curve to the right, in the southern to the left. A simple turn of the planet transforms straight flows into graceful spirals. Storm systems twist into elegant swirls. Trade winds, jet streams, and hurricanes trace their choreography across the globe because the world itself is spinning beneath them. Even when the world feels calm on a cloudless summer afternoon, for instance, the air around you is alive with invisible motion. Tiny currents slip past your skin. Heat exchanges quietly between surfaces. Pressure rises and falls in slow, patient rhythms. What's truly beautiful is that all of this happens without a single hand guiding it. No switches, no controllers, just physics. Heat spreading out, pressure equalizing, molecules moving, always dancing. Every gust of wind, every breeze at your window, every whisper of air in a still room is part of this ancient ballet. A dance that's been going on since the Earth first wrapped itself in an atmosphere billions of years ago. When you walk outside and feel the wind slide across your face, it isn't just air. It's a global story in motion. Somewhere far away, a warm patch of ocean may have lifted air skyward. Somewhere else, cold air is sinking. And in between those places, the atmosphere is breathing, carrying that motion to you. Think of a breeze ruffling leaves in a quiet park. Think of a distant thunderstorm on the horizon, its warm updrafts reaching toward the stars. Think of a clear night where the air feels crisp and cool against your skin. All of it is part of the same living system. When warm air rises, it creates space below, and cooler air flows in to fill it. The bigger the difference between warm and cold, the faster that air rushes in, and so a gentle breeze can grow into a howling storm, or stay soft and quiet, like a whispered secret passing through the trees. Now imagine that you're floating upward, higher and higher. The ground grows distant. Cities become soft clusters of light. Forests blend into dark green shapes. You drift through the troposphere, feeling the air thin around you. Your breath deepens, slower, softer. The wind cools your skin. Below you, the planet turns steadily, pulling clouds in slow arcs. Sunlight spills over the curve of the Earth, painting the upper atmosphere gold. The winds you once felt on the ground now stretch for hundreds of miles, weaving around mountains, oceans, and valleys. You can almost see the air moving now, great rivers of atmosphere flowing endlessly around the globe. They twist and bend not because of any plan, but because the Earth is warm here and cold there, because pressure is higher here and lower there, because everything seeks balance, and balance is always just out of reach. It's this imbalance that gives us weather. It's why clouds drift, why storms form, why gentle breezes brush our cheeks at dusk. If everything were perfectly balanced, if air didn't move, the world would be silent, still, lifeless. But instead, the atmosphere breathes. It rises and falls like the chest of a sleeping world. Take another slow breath with it. In and out. You can feel it, can't you? The soft pulse of the air that's always been here. Long before cities, before languages, before names. Every breath you take is part of this same air. Some of the oxygen in your lungs was once inside a leaf, or an ocean wave, or floating high over the Sahara Desert. Some of the nitrogen around you may have drifted past the wings of a prehistoric bird. This air is old, ancient, shared. It carries history as easily as it carries clouds. The air also carries sound. It holds the whisper of leaves, the distant rumble of thunder, the call of birds at dawn. Without air, there would be no wind, no rain, no storms, and no sound at all. The world would be silent, empty. But it isn't. It's alive with motion, with weather, with the rhythm of breath. And that rhythm is gentle. It moves slowly. It's steady. You don't have to keep up with it. All you need to do is listen, feel it, let it carry you. As we float here together, above the ground but below the stars, the atmosphere stretches in every direction. It's not just a layer of gases. It's a living, breathing system, the stage on which all weather is born. The troposphere, this thin, precious layer, is where clouds take shape, where raindrops fall, where wind sings, and where life thrives. Above it, the air grows quieter, colder, stranger. But down here, in this familiar layer, the air wraps around us like a gentle tide. And if you close your eyes and listen just a little longer, you might feel that tide moving. A breath shared by everything on this planet. It's the air we breathe. It's the first step of every storm and every rainbow. It's the quiet foundation of all weather. Breathe with it now. Slowly. Gently. Let it carry you deeper into the night. Before the wind begins to move, before clouds form or raindrops fall, there is always the Sunday. It doesn't shout, and it doesn't rush. It simply shines. And in that soft, constant glow lies the heartbeat of all weather. Every gust of wind, every drifting cloud, every drop of rain begins with sunlight. Not the blinding, blazing light we feel on a hot summer day, but the quiet, patient power that arrives here across millions of kilometers of empty space. The sun is distant about 150 million kilometers away, but its warmth travels here like a gentle messenger. It touches oceans, lands, and forests, and with each touch it stirs the air. Even when we can't see it, even when the night has wrapped the world in darkness, the sun is still at work somewhere beyond the curve of the earth, breathing energy into the atmosphere. Close your eyes and imagine standing at dawn. The world is still cool. The night's calm lingers, but at the horizon there's a faint band of gold. Slowly, almost shyly, light begins to spill over the edge of the world. It doesn't roar, it doesn't rush. It grows in silence, painting the sky with colours that shift from soft violet to pale orange to glowing gold. And with that light comes warmth. The surface of the earth begins to absorb it, rocks, soil, oceans, trees, rooftops. The air itself doesn't hold much heat, but the land and the sea do. They drink in sunlight like thirsty travellers. Then, slowly, they give that warmth back to the air above them. It is this gentle exchange, this silent conversation between sun and earth that awakens the atmosphere each day. The warming is uneven. The equator receives sunlight almost straight on, like a spotlight shining directly overhead. The poles receive it at a sharp angle, spread thin and soft. Deserts soak up heat quickly. Oceans warm slowly but store that warmth for longer. Mountains cast shadows. Valleys cradle cold air. And as the warmth spreads unevenly, the air responds. It begins to move. Warm air rises. Cool air sinks. And with that single motion warm up, cool down, the engine of weather begins to hum. Imagine now that you are floating high above the planet, looking down. From this view, the sun seems to paint the world with invisible brushstrokes. As it shines on the oceans, vast belts of warm air rise from the equator and drift toward the poles. Cooler air from the poles slides down to take its place. This movement, simple and elegant, drives the great circulation patterns that shape our winds, our rains, and our storms. If you could follow a single ray of sunlight, you would find it weaving through everything. One moment it's warming the surface of a calm sea, and the next it's lifting air skyward. That air may drift for hundreds or thousands of kilometers, carrying moisture, shaping clouds. A storm born near the equator might travel halfway across the world, guided by nothing more than the invisible pathways carved by sunlight and air. Even the smallest breeze that brushes your cheek on a spring morning can trace its roots back to the Sunday. But the sun does more than warm. It breathes rhythm into the planet. During the day, sunlight spills across the land, warming the ground and the air above it. As night falls, the warmth seeps away, radiating back into space. This daily breathing in and breathing out is what gives us gentle daytime winds and still cool nights. The sun's rhythm is the earth's heartbeat. Think of a quiet morning near the sea. At night, the land cools faster than the ocean. The air over the water stays warmer, while the air over the land grows cooler and heavier. As dawn approaches, the balance shifts. Warm air rises from the ocean. Cooler air over the land slides out toward the sea to take its place. This is a sea breeze, a soft, steady breath shaped entirely by the Sunday. By afternoon, the land grows warmer than the water. The direction of the breeze reverses. The wind now flows inland, carrying the scent of salt and sea. Every coastline in the world, every day, breathes this slow, gentle rhythm because of sunlight. But the sun's quiet power isn't just felt at the surface. It reaches upward, stirring the atmosphere from bottom to top. As sunlight warms the ground, columns of warm air rise. Higher and higher they climb, expanding as they go. They cool, condense, and sometimes turn into the cotton-white shapes of fair weather clouds. Sometimes they grow tall and powerful, into storm towers that scrape the upper troposphere. What makes it so beautiful is how slow and natural this process is. Nothing forces it. No machine drives it. The sun simply shines, the earth simply warms, and the atmosphere simply responds. Now picture this from a more personal place. Imagine lying in a meadow at midday, the grass warm beneath your hands, the air alive with the soft hum of insects. The sunlight rests on your skin, neither heavy nor harsh, just steady. That warmth you feel isn't just touching you. It's moving the air all around you. Even if you can't see it, the world is shifting because of that quiet energy. Above you, small thermals, pockets of rising warm air spiral upward, invisible but real. Birds ride them effortlessly, circling without a single flap of their wings. Gliders and eagles know this language instinctively. They trust the sun's invisible hands to lift them higher, and high above those birds, the sunlight stirs the great jet streams, powerful rivers of air racing across the sky. These currents can shape entire weather systems, steering storms, deciding where rains will fall and where skies will remain clear. All from the Sunday, quiet, patient, relentless. But the sun isn't always even. Clouds drift across its face. Seasons shift the angle of its rays. The earth tilts, spins, and dances through space. All of these motions shape how and where sunlight falls. And with each shift, the atmosphere adjusts, like a vast breathing organism responding to a gentle touch. As the Earth orbits the Sun, we tilt just a little, and this tilt gives us the seasons. When the northern hemisphere leans toward the Sun, summer unfurls its warmth. When it leans away, winter returns with quiet hands. These slow, grand changes create global waves of air, reshaping wind patterns and storms. Even rain, the simplest, softest kind of weather, begins with sunlight. The sun warms a pond, a lake, a vast blue ocean. Tiny molecules of water rise into the air, turning into invisible vapor. That vapor drifts upward, joining the great rivers of the atmosphere. Eventually, it cools, condenses into droplets, and falls again as rain. A single beam of sunlight can set that entire cycle in motion. Sunlight also gives us one of the quietest, most subtle effects, the feeling of the air changing before a storm. You've felt it before, that soft pressure on your skin, that shift in the wind, that hush in the air before the rain begins. All of it traces back to how sunlight has warmed one place more than another, how air has risen or fallen, how the sky has decided to move. Even at night, when the sun is hidden, its influence lingers like a heartbeat under the surface. The warmth stored in the oceans and the land continues to flow upward, shaping breezes and subtle temperature shifts. The sun's work never truly stops. It simply changes rhythm. Now, take a slow, deep breath. Let it out softly. As you breathe, imagine yourself floating just above the earth, in a place where sunlight meets atmosphere. You can see the golden glow touching oceans, mountains, and deserts. You can see how the light spreads unevenly, like water flowing over a textured stone. You can feel the air move in response, shifting with infinite patience. This is the sun's quiet power. It doesn't force, it invites, and the air listens. With each passing hour, the sunlight paints new shapes in the atmosphere, invisible brushstrokes that will become tomorrow's winds, next week's storms, and the soft breezes that cool your skin at dusk. Think of the sun as a patient storyteller. Every morning it begins the tale again. Warmth rises, air moves, clouds bloom, rain falls, and then night comes, and the warmth fades like a closing chapter. But the story never ends. It only rests, ready to begin again with the next dawn. The sun is also a memory keeper. Every dune in a desert, every carved canyon, every forest and sea has been shaped by its quiet hand over millions of years. The winds it inspires wear down mountains and carry seeds to distant lands. It shapes the skin of the planet itself, grain by grain, wave by wave. And though we live small lives beneath its light, we are part of this great cycle too. Every warm breeze that brushes against your face is older than memory. Born from sunlight that left the sun 8 minutes ago and travelled across space just to reach you now. 8 minutes. That's all it takes for a story 150 million kilometres away to arrive at your doorstep, to warm your skin, to stir the air you breathe. Close your eyes again. Feel that warmth, even if only in your imagination. See the golden light stretching over quiet seas, across green forests, over still valleys. Hear the soft stirring of the air as it responds. That gentle breeze, that far-off storm, that calm sky above you, they're all whispers of the same voice. The sun never hurries, it never hesitates, it simply shines. And in that shine, weather is born. So as we drift deeper into this night, wrapped in the quiet pulse of the atmosphere, remember that somewhere beyond the dark sky above, the sun is still shining. It's still breathing warmth into the world, still guiding the winds, still shaping the air that cradles us. It's the quiet architect of everything we'll explore next. Breathe in, slowly, and out again. Let your heartbeat match the steady rhythm of sunlight. Let your mind settle into the endless warmth that began long before you and will continue long after. Tomorrow's breeze is already forming, quietly, patiently, somewhere far away in a place where sunlight meets air. And as you rest here, in this soft cocoon of sound and silence, the story continues to unfold. When the sun warms the earth, the air begins to move. And when the air moves, it does so with a grace older than language itself. This movement, gentle or fierce, whispered or howling, is what we call the wind. We often think of wind as something simple, a breeze brushing your face, a gust tugging at your hair. But wind is more than that. It is the great circulatory system of the atmosphere, carrying heat, moisture, and energy across continents and oceans. It is the breath of the planet. Close your eyes. Imagine standing on the edge of a vast plain. The air is still for a moment, quiet as a held breath. Then, slowly, a breeze begins to stir. It slips past your ears, cool and light, carrying the faint scent of distant rain. You can't see it, but you can feel it. You can hear it as it moves through the grass. That breeze has travelled far, shaped by forces both delicate and grand, born from sunlight, sculpted by pressure, guided by the turning of the earth. To understand wind is to understand movement itself. It all begins with differences warm and cold, high and low, rising and falling. Where air warms and rises, a pocket of lower pressure forms. Where air cools and sinks, pressure builds. And between those two places, the wind begins to flow, like water rolling down a gentle hill. But unlike water, air doesn't move in straight lines. The earth is spinning beneath it, fast more than 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. This spin bends the path of the wind. In the northern hemisphere, winds curve to the right. In the southern hemisphere, they curve to the left. This is the Coriolis effect, and it's what gives winds their sweeping, spiral dance across the world. Imagine now that you rise slowly into the sky. The ground falls away beneath you, and the horizon stretches out in every direction. From up here, high above the continents, you can see the great rivers of air that circle the globe. Winds aren't random. They form vast, structured patterns, moving like the slow tides of an invisible ocean. Near the equator, warm air rises in steady columns, creating a belt of low pressure known as the intertropical convergence zone. Here, the air is restless, climbing skyward, spilling outward toward the poles. As it flows, it cools and sinks around 30 degrees north and south of the equator, creating calm regions called the horse latitudes. From these latitudes, surface winds flow back toward the equator, curving as they go, forming the trade winds' soft, steady breezes that once carried great sailing ships across oceans. These trade winds are some of the most dependable winds on Earth. Gentle but persistent, they've shaped human history, guiding explorers, merchants, and dreamers for centuries. They whisper through the tropics like a slow, endless sigh. Farther north and south, between about 30 and 60 degrees latitude, the winds shift direction. These are the westerlies winds that flow from the west to the east, bending storms and steering weather systems across continents. Above them, higher still, the jet streams roar. These fast, narrow rivers of air snake around the globe, sometimes calm, sometimes fierce, shaping the tracks of storms like invisible architects. And near the poles, where the air is cold and heavy, it sinks and flows outward, creating the polar easterlies winds that whisper across frozen lands, carrying the chill of endless winter nights. All of these patterns weave together, creating a planetary symphony. Wind doesn't exist in isolation. It's part of something vast and intricate. When you feel a breeze, you're feeling a single note in a much larger song. Think of standing by the ocean. The air tastes of salt and carries the sound of waves. This breeze may have started thousands of kilometers away, over warm tropical waters. It might have threaded its way between islands, climbed over waves, and found its way to you. Its story is long, but it arrives quietly, without words. Wind doesn't just travel across land, it shapes it. Over time, it wears down mountains, sculpts sand dunes, carries seeds and whispers through forests. It polishes stones and smooths landscapes. It is both gentle and patient, yet capable of reshaping entire worlds. But wind also carries life. It lifts pollen from flowers and carries it across meadows, ensuring the next generation of plants. It moves spores, seeds, moisture. It's a courier for the natural world. Even the faintest breeze is part of this exchange, connecting one place to another. Now imagine standing in the middle of a desert. The sand beneath your feet is warm, the horizon wide and empty. A breeze stirs, then grows stronger. Sand dances in the air, swirling in soft ribbons. Over time, that same wind will shape dunes, carving their sharp crests and smooth slopes. The desert is not empty, it is alive with motion. Or picture standing on a rocky cliff by the sea. The wind here is strong and constant, shaped by the open ocean. It carries the roar of distant waves and the cry of seabirds. It tugs at your clothes, pushes against your chest, reminding you of its strength. That wind has crossed thousands of miles of open water to reach this moment. Winds can be small and local, the kind that rustle leaves outside your window at night. Or they can be vast, circling the entire planet. But they are all connected. A breeze that begins in the tropics might feed a storm in the mid-latitudes, which in turn might send a different breeze to a faraway coast. The atmosphere is a single, shared breath, and within that breath are many rhythms. In the early morning, as the sun warms the ground, winds often rise. They're soft at first, just enough to stir the air. By afternoon, as the land grows hot, thermals lift higher and breezes strengthen. By night, when the land cools again, winds slow and settle. This daily rhythm, quiet and patient, is the pulse of the planet. Seasonal rhythms shape winds too. In some regions, monsoon's vast seasonal wind systems bring life-giving rains. These winds are not just weather. They are part of the fabric of entire cultures and ecosystems. They arrive like old friends, reliable and essential, carrying the promise of water. Monsoon winds form because land warms and cools faster than the ocean. In summer, the land grows hot and warm air rises. Moist air from the sea rushes in to fill the space, bringing clouds and rain. In winter, the pattern reverses. Cool, dry air flows outward and the rains retreat. This great breathing of the land and sea shapes the lives of billions. Winds also speak in subtler ways. On a still day, you might not feel them at all, but they are there moving softly high above, shaping clouds and shifting the air without you noticing. And when the wind is still, truly still, you feel the weight of silence, a calm before change, a pause between breaths. There is a kind of poetry to the way wind moves. It is both everywhere and nowhere at once. You can feel it but not see it. You can hear it in the rustling of leaves, in the hum of power lines, in the sigh of tall grass. It fills spaces without occupying them. It touches everything but leaves no fingerprints. Close your eyes now. Feel the air against your skin. Maybe it's cool, maybe warm, maybe barely moving at all, but it's there. A part of a journey much bigger than this moment. A journey that began long before you were born and will continue long after. If we could see wind, the world would never look still. Every tree, every rooftop, every valley would be wrapped in moving currents, flowing like an invisible river. High above the clouds, jet streams race along, faster than the fastest storms. Closer to the ground, gentle breezes weave between buildings, trees, and open fields. Even the quietest room is never truly without motion. Tiny eddies of air curl and twist, carrying warmth from your body, mingling with the air around you. The world is always breathing. Wind is also a storyteller. It carries whispers across great distances. In deserts, it hums. In forests, it sighs. In mountain passes, it sings in sharp, haunting tones. On the sea, it roars with open-throated power. Every place has its own voice, shaped by the wind. Throughout history, humans have listened to these voices. Sailors watched the flags and waves, reading the wind like a map. Farmers smelled the breeze, knowing whether rain was on its way. Nomads felt it against their faces, letting it guide their journeys. Wind is an ancient guide, silent but never still. And in the natural world, creatures know its language too. Birds spread their wings and rise without effort, gliding on warm thermals. Seeds with feathery tufts drift on breezes, finding new places to grow. Insects, delicate as they are, let the wind carry them to safety. Even the scent of flowers rides the air, reaching bees and butterflies miles away. Wind binds the living world together, thread by thread, breath by breath. Take another slow, deep breath in and exhale gently. Let the rhythm of the air settle over you like a soft blanket. Imagine yourself drifting, weightless, among the currents. The ground below fades into a soft blur. The world turns slowly beneath you, wrapped in its invisible winds. Above the tropics, steady trade winds move like ancient, patient travellers. Over oceans, westerlies shape the paths of storms. At the poles, quiet easterlies whisper through frozen silence. All of it together, every breeze, every gust, every gentle stirring is part of one vast, interconnected system. Winds of the world are never truly alone. They are all threads of the same great tapestry, weaving and unweaving themselves every moment. The breeze outside your window tonight might carry a molecule of air that once brushed the surface of the Pacific Ocean. It might have drifted across mountains, valleys, cities, and seas before arriving here. Air has no borders. It belongs to no one and everyone. It moves endlessly, like memory, and if you listen closely, if you let yourself sink into the stillness of this moment, you can feel that connection. You can feel the slow breath of the world. Winds shape not just weather, but stories. They are the reason we have journeys, migrations, seasons. They've carried ships, dreams, and voices for centuries. And now, they carry you too softly, gently, through this night. No gust is too small, no current too great. Every breath of wind, it belongs to this one earth, this one shared sky. Breathe with it now, in and out. Feel the quiet movement in the air around you. This is the wind, ancient, patient, endless. The soft, steady breath of the world. If air is the breath of the planet, then water is its whisper. It moves softly, invisibly, through the atmosphere, rising and falling, appearing and disappearing, turning from mist to cloud to rain to sky again. Long before a raindrop lands on your skin, long before a cloud forms in the heavens, water begins its journey as something unseen, vapor in the air. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine a quiet pond at dawn. The surface is still, smooth as glass. The world is hushed, the morning light pale and gentle. And then, as the sun slowly stretches its golden fingers across the surface, a thin veil begins to lift. The water warms, and tiny molecules rise into the air, one by one, invisible to your eyes but very much alive in their journey. This is evaporation, the quiet beginning of weather's water story. Every ocean, lake, river, forest, and even your own breath contributes to it. Warmth loosens the bonds between liquid water molecules, and they slip into the air as vapor. Once airborne, they're no longer tied to the earth below. They can travel floating gently on the winds we met in the last chapter. The air can't hold an infinite amount of vapor, though. Warm air can carry more, cool air can carry less. That delicate balance, how much vapor the air can carry at any moment, is what shapes humidity. When the air is warm and moist, it feels heavy, soft against your skin. When it's dry, it feels crisp, light, almost sharp. But humidity isn't just about comfort. It's a quiet engine. It shapes how clouds form, how storms grow, and how rain falls. Picture standing near the ocean on a hot day. The sun beats down, the air shimmers. Water molecules are lifting constantly into the sky. You can't see them, but they rise like a hidden tide. The warmer the air, the more easily it embraces these molecules, holding them close, carrying them far. And then something shifts. Maybe the air rises into cooler heights. Maybe a breeze carries it toward colder lands. As it cools, it reaches a point where it can no longer hold all that vapor. Tiny droplets form, clinging to microscopic particles, dust, salt, pollen, even the faintest bits of matter floating in the sky. One droplet becomes two become 1,000. 1,000 become a cloud. This is condensation, and it is as quiet and natural as breathing. If you've ever woken early enough to see dew beading on grass, or fog hugging the earth in the first light of day, you've seen condensation at work. The night cools the ground. The air near the surface cools too, and when it can hold no more vapor, water returns not as a roar or a rush, but as a gentle embrace. The same thing happens in the sky, just on a grander scale. Tiny droplets gather, suspended on the breeze, so light they don't yet fall. They float together, forming soft shapes overhead. Some clouds are thin like gauze, barely visible against the blue. Others grow dense, heavy, tall, towering mountains of vapor that rise through the troposphere. But the water's story doesn't stop there, because in the atmosphere, everything is in motion. Winds carry those clouds across continents. Some will dissolve into nothing, returning their moisture to the air. Others will gather strength, merge, grow heavier, and one day, perhaps hours or even weeks later, those same droplets may fall as rain, or snow, or ice, completing the cycle they began at a quiet pond. This cycle has been happening for billions of years, long before the first human stood beneath a storm, long before mountains wore their names. Water has been rising, drifting, falling, and rising again in a ceaseless, gentle rhythm. You've felt it before the heaviness in the air before a summer rain. That's the atmosphere, laden with moisture, holding a quiet promise. You've felt the cool relief when the rain finally falls, releasing what the sky has carried. Even your own breath joins this story. Every time you exhale, you send water vapor into the air. On a cold day, you can see it, a soft cloud that vanishes as quickly as it appears. You are part of the great cycle, as much as the oceans, rivers, and storms. Humidity isn't just a number on a weather chart. It's the invisible boundary between water and air, a dance that never ends. When the air is nearly full of vapor, we call it saturated, and when it reaches that delicate point, even the smallest nudge, a cooling breeze, a drifting current can tip it into making clouds. This is why mountains are often shrouded in mist. Air climbs their slopes, cools, and spills its hidden water into the sky. It's why forests breathe fog in the morning, why oceans seem to give birth to storms. Water vapor also does something subtle and profound. It warms the earth. It's one of the most powerful greenhouse gases, trapping warmth, cradling the planet in a soft, invisible blanket. It helps keep nights from freezing, oceans from icing over, life from flickering out. Without vapor, Earth would be a cold, empty place. With it, the air becomes soft, living, alive. Now imagine drifting through that vapor. You're high above a wide plain, floating slowly, the ground hidden beneath a thin veil of mist. The air feels different here, almost like silk. It clings lightly to your skin, warm and cool at once, holding the memory of water without letting it fall. The mist thickens as you rise. You're inside a cloud now. Around you, countless tiny droplets hover in perfect balance. They're weightless in their smallness, kept aloft by gentle currents of air. If the air cools just a little more, they'll join hands and grow until they're too heavy to float. Then they'll fall, and the cloud will weep its soft rain. But not yet. For now, the droplets wait, quiet as a held breath. Humidity also gives us some of the most delicate weather phenomena. When the air is nearly full of vapor, it can paint halos around the sun or moon. It can wrap hills in ribbons of fog. It can turn valleys into secret, hidden worlds where sound travels differently, soft and close. Think of the way fog muffles everything. A city, a forest, a field, they all grow quiet when wrapped in vapor. It's not just your ears, it's the way water in the air bends and softens sound itself, slowing the world down. Even light moves differently through moisture. It scatters, blurs, turns harsh outlines into gentle silhouettes. It paints rainbows, halos, and sundogs, all because of tiny droplets suspended in the air, weightless yet powerful. This vapor, this unseen water, is also one of the greatest travelers on Earth. A molecule that evaporates from a wave in the Pacific Ocean might drift for thousands of miles before falling as rain over a quiet meadow in Europe. One that rises from a forest stream could find itself part of a thunderstorm over the savannah. The water in the air doesn't belong to any place. It belongs to everywhere. And when it falls again as rain, as snow, as a bead of dew, it begins again. That endless loop is one of the reasons life exists here at all. Take another slow, deep breath. Let it out gently. The air around you holds moisture right now. Even if you can't see it, even if the sky is clear, it's there. It's part of the same story the oceans tell, the same rhythm the clouds hum. You're breathing in the memory of rainstorms and seas. As we drift deeper into this chapter, picture yourself moving above a rainforest. Below, trees breathe water into the air through their leaves, a process called transpiration. The air here is thick with vapor, warm and heavy. It rises steadily, feeding clouds overhead. Every tree, every leaf is part of this great exchange, Earth's way of sharing water between sky and soil. Now drift toward the ocean. Over the waves the air feels different, open, expansive, endless. The water here evaporates under the patient gaze of the sun, feeding the great atmospheric rivers that flow high above. These rivers aren't made of liquid, but of vapor, streaming invisibly across the world. When they reach distant lands, they release their cargo as rain, nourishing fields and forests. Without these silent, invisible rivers in the sky, so much of the world would be dry and lifeless. And then there is the snow. In winter, when air cools sharply, vapor condenses directly into tiny crystals. They build themselves into intricate shapes, each one unique, delicate, like frozen lace. These crystals drift down silently, painting the world in white, each flake a memory of vapor caught in mid-transformation. This, too, is the water in the air. Every breeze carries moisture, whether you feel it or not. Every cloud you see began as vapor. Every storm is the echo of water changing its form. Even the calmest sky is alive with this motion. It is easy to forget what we cannot see. But without vapor, the atmosphere would be dry and brittle, stripped of the softness that cradles life. There would be no clouds to shade the land, no rains to nourish it, no mist to cool the morning. Water makes the air tender, it makes the wind soft, it gives weather its shape. And so, as we float together through this quiet part of the night, feel the air on your skin, feel the weight, the softness, the invisible threads of moisture woven through it. That touch is ancient. It has travelled across oceans, across mountains, through time itself to meet you here. You are breathing in the ocean. You are breathing in rain yet to fall. You are breathing in the quiet story of the sky. Let your breath match its rhythm. In and out. Soft. Slow. Easy. The water in the air is always waiting. It doesn't need to rush. It rises, it drifts, it falls. Again and again. An endless loop of calm and quiet wonder. When you look up at the sky and see a cloud drifting slowly, it's easy to think of it as a single thing, a puff of white, light as air. But every cloud is a story, a patient, delicate story of water rising, meeting the coolness of the air and finding its place in the sky. Before a cloud can appear, the atmosphere must prepare the stage. Warmth must rise, moisture must gather, air must cool. And then so softly it's almost a whisper, water reveals itself. A cloud is not made of smoke, not made of mist in the way fog hugs the ground. It's made of countless tiny droplets or ice crystals, each too small to see on its own. Together, they create something you can see, something you can feel in the shifting light of the day. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine standing on an open field. The morning sun has just risen, and the air is warming. The ground beneath your feet releases its quiet warmth into the air above it. Molecules of water, invisible just moments ago, rise upward with the warming air. As this invisible current climbs higher, it begins to cool. The air thins and the temperature drops. The warm vapor it carries is no longer able to stay hidden. It clings to tiny particles drifting in the atmosphere, specks of dust, bits of pollen, grains of sea salt carried by winds from faraway oceans. And slowly, drop by drop, a cloud begins to form. This process is called condensation, but it's more than just science. It's the atmosphere breathing. The sky itself exhaling softly. A cloud is the moment when the air's secret becomes visible. Clouds are born in many ways. Sometimes it's the gentle rising of warm air on a quiet afternoon. Sometimes it's the rush of air pushed upward by a mountain range, forced to climb, cool, and surrender its hidden moisture. Sometimes it's the meeting of warm and cold fronts, where air is lifted like a wave cresting over another. Each path leads to the same result: vapor becoming visible. The first clouds are often shy wisps and streaks high in the sky, barely more than a suggestion. But they can grow. The more moisture the air holds, the stronger the upward currents, the larger the cloud becomes. A single cumulus cloud, bright and white on a summer day, can hold millions of tiny droplets, all weightless enough to float together. And then, as it grows, something magical happens. The cloud becomes a world unto itself. Inside a cloud, air is constantly moving. Warm currents push upward. Cooler air drifts downward. Droplets collide, merge, separate, rise, and fall. A cloud might look calm from below, but within it is alive with motion. Each second is a quiet storm of tiny, unseen dances. Clouds come in many shapes, each telling its own part of the sky's story. High above, where the air is cold and thin, cirrus clouds stretch like pale brushstrokes against blue. They're made of ice crystals, delicate and feather-like, catching the light of the sun long after it's set on the ground below. Cirrus clouds don't bring rain. They drift quietly, silent witnesses to the movement of the upper winds. Lower down, cumulus clouds bloom like cotton. Puffy, rounded, sometimes towering, they are the storytellers of sunny days. Light filters through them, soft and warm, casting shadows that move slowly across the earth. When the air grows unstable and the upward current strong, cumulus clouds can climb higher and higher, turning into cumulonimbus, the great storm clouds. These are the giants of the sky, reaching from the lowest troposphere up to its ceiling, their tops spreading like an anvil. Inside, droplets rise and fall at astonishing speeds. Thunder rumbles through their bellies, rain gathers in their depths, lightning flickers like nervous thoughts in the night. But not all clouds are giants. Some prefer to stay close to the earth. Stratus clouds form in quiet layers, covering the sky like a soft grey blanket. They don't roar or boom, they simply dim the world, bringing with them drizzle, mist, and the feeling of a day that moves a little slower. And then there are the fogs clouds that never quite lifted. When warm, moist air cools close to the ground, the world grows hushed. Fog wraps itself around trees, roads, hills. It makes even familiar places feel distant, dreamlike. Fog is simply a cloud that decided to stay low, to sit beside us for a while. Clouds are often described as weightless, but in truth they are anything but. A single large cumulus cloud can contain hundreds of tons of water. Yet it floats, suspended on rising air. Each droplet is so small, so light, that gravity's pull is balanced by the upward currents holding it aloft. And so, the cloud lives in balance, rising and falling, forming and fading, a delicate equilibrium that can shift in a heartbeat. You've probably noticed how clouds can appear and disappear in the span of minutes. A clear morning can grow cloudy by noon, only for the sky to empty again by evening. This is the atmosphere in constant conversation with itself. When warm air rises, clouds bloom. When it sinks, they dissolve. The sky breathes in clouds and exhales them again, over and over, without pause. When you lie on your back and watch the sky, letting the shapes drift past a ship, a mountain, a sleeping giant you're watching the atmosphere tell its story in real time. Those shapes are momentary sculptures, carved by wind, heat, and moisture. Some clouds are quiet, content to drift. Others are restless, forming where warm air pushes through cold fronts. When these air masses meet, warm air is lifted quickly, creating towering storm clouds. That's when the sky begins to speak in rumbles and rain. But before any storm begins, there's always the birth of a cloud. A soft, silent birth in the cool upper air. Let's rise together now, drifting upward through a forming cloud. The air cools around you. The light softens, filtered through millions of tiny droplets. You can almost hear it, not a sound exactly, but a hush, a quiet that wraps around you like mist. The droplets brush your skin, delicate as breath. They cling for a moment, then let go. The air tastes clean, crisp. You're surrounded by something both ancient and fleeting. Inside this cloud, the world outside fades. You can't see the ground anymore. The horizon disappears. There's only softness in every direction. A cloud doesn't have edges in the way a wall does. It simply fades, blurs, melts into the blue beyond. Clouds have been doing this long before we existed. Before cities, before ships, before birds. They are part of the oldest cycle on Earth. Water rising, cooling, condensing, and falling again. Each cloud is temporary, but the cycle is eternal. And they do more than mark the sky. Clouds shape climate, regulate temperature, and bring the rains that nourish the land. They shield the earth from the harshness of the sun by day and hold warmth close to the ground by night. They're both umbrella and blanket, both guardian and guide. There is a rhythm in their birth and death, a calm, patient rhythm. Think of an early autumn morning. The fields are damp, a light mist floats low over the ground. As the sun rises, the mist warms and begins to lift. The droplets grow smaller, evaporating back into invisible vapour. What was once a cloud simply fades into the sky. Think of a summer afternoon. Heat builds through the day. Warm air swirls upward, carrying moisture with it. By late afternoon, cumulus clouds bloom high overhead, their edges glowing white against a deep blue sky. Then, as the sun sets and the ground cools, the warm currents weaken, the clouds dissolve, piece by piece, leaving the stars to shine through. The birth of a cloud is quiet. Its fading is quieter still. Even the grandest thunderstorm begins this way, a whisper of vapour, a breath of warm air, a cooling touch high above. From that gentle beginning, the sky can build something magnificent, or let it drift away as though it never was. Close your eyes again. Feel the weight of the air around you. Imagine the invisible moisture, the soft rising currents, the coolness that awaits high above. This is how every cloud begins, not with a roar but with a sigh. Clouds are the handwriting of the sky, each one a sentence in an endless story written in vapour. Some sentences are long and rolling, some short and fleeting. Some speak of rain, others of fair weather. But all are part of the same language, the language of air and water. The next time you see a cloud drift across the sun, casting a passing shadow on the ground, remember, that shadow began with a single droplet, a single breath of warm air meeting the cool sky, a quiet birth, carried upward on the wind. Take a slow breath with it now, in and out, soft, easy, quiet. Clouds will always come and go. They will form and fade whether we watch them or not. But tonight, as you rest beneath their invisible stories, you can let their rhythm carry you. Their patience is infinite. Their touch is light. They are the soft storytellers of the sky, whispering the tale of water and wind. Not all clouds drift quietly. Some rise higher. Some grow heavy. Some begin to hum with a quiet, gathering energy. These are the storm builders, the towering clouds that hold the sky's most powerful voices. The rumble of thunder, the flash of lightning, and the soft, cleansing rain that follows. Every great thunderstorm begins the same way, with warm air rising, a hot afternoon, moisture thick in the air, the sun heating the ground, feeding the invisible thermals that climb into the atmosphere. And then, as the air lifts and cools, a cumulus cloud begins to grow. But this cloud is different from the gentle ones of a calm day. It doesn't stop at a few hundred meters. It keeps rising. Strong updrafts, warm, buoyant air currents push it higher and higher. The top swells, spreads, and flattens into the classic anvil shape of a cumulonimbus cloud. It's a cathedral of vapor reaching up toward the top of the troposphere. Beneath its wide shadow, the world grows quieter. The wind shifts direction. The air cools, just a little. The light changes, turning from gold to silver, from silver to grey. If you've ever stood outside before a storm, you've felt it, that charged stillness, the sense that the air is holding its breath. The first drops might fall, not many, just enough to tap softly on leaves, roofs, and open hands. But above, the cloud is already alive with energy. Inside this giant of the sky, currents of air swirl and collide. Warm air surges upward, cool air sinks downward. Droplets crash into each other, merge, break apart, rise again. Tiny ice crystals form high in the cold top, rubbing against each other and building electric charges. Nature is patient in its creation, but here it begins to gather power. The cloud grows heavier, darker. Water droplets grow large enough to fall, but they're carried back upward by the rising air. Up and down they go, in a loop that builds their weight, their energy, their story. And then, when the balance tips, the storm begins. Rain falls in earnest, a soft curtain at first, then a rushing roar. Each drop was once vapor, invisible and weightless. Now, it returns to earth with a steady rhythm, like fingers drumming gently on the world. The air grows cool, fresh, almost electric. The sky darkens. The wind picks up. The leaves on the trees tilt and sway. Somewhere deep inside the cloud, lightning is born. Lightning isn't a single spark. It's the sudden release of everything the cloud has been holding. As the ice crystals and droplets collide within the storm, they separate charges. The top of the cloud becomes positively charged. The base builds a negative charge. The air between these charges strains and tightens. It resists, but not forever. When the charge difference grows too strong, the air breaks. A path of ionized gas opens in a fraction of a second, like a tiny tunnel through the sky. And then, in a brilliant, silent instant, the cloud speaks. A jagged bolt of lightning leaps from sky to ground, or from cloud to cloud. Or sometimes, hidden inside the cloud itself. The air along its path is heated to temperatures hotter than the surface of the Sunday. The sudden expansion creates a shock wave. That shock wave rolls outward as thunder. You see, the lightning first light moves fast. The thunder comes after, rolling slowly through the air, sometimes sharp and cracking, sometimes soft and low, like a distant drum. That sound, that rumble, is the voice of the storm. Older than any song, older than our species, it's the sky itself clearing its throat. Now imagine you're standing on a quiet hill as a storm approaches. The horizon darkens. You can smell the rain before it falls, the earthy scent of petrichor, the breath of soil meeting moisture. A warm gust brushes your face, then a cool breeze follows. Above, the first flash of lightning cuts the sky in half. You don't need to be afraid. You're simply listening to the oldest conversation between earth and sky. This is how the world releases energy, how it balances itself. Thunderstorms are storytellers of movement and change. They form where warm, moist air rises powerfully in summer afternoons, in tropical regions, over warm plains and forests. Sometimes they bloom and fade in a single hour. Sometimes they grow into mighty systems that travel for hundreds of miles. Inside a thunderstorm, the air is never still. Updrafts and downdrafts dance like partners, lifting droplets, hurling them downward, spinning them into hailstones, raindrops, and sheets of mist. The stronger the updraft, the taller and more powerful the storm. Some storms remain gentle, with soft rumbles and light rain. Others build towers so tall that the top reaches the edge of the troposphere, where strong winds flatten it into that iconic anvil shape. These are the great storms, capable of bringing sheets of rain, rolling thunder, and dazzling displays of lightning that turn the sky into a living lantern. Lightning itself can take many forms. Some bolts strike downward to the ground, finding trees, buildings, and open fields. Others arc between clouds, jagged veins of white light threading the night sky. Some burst upward, silent and distant, like ghosts called sprites and jets, reaching high towards space. And sometimes lightning stays hidden, illuminating the heart of the cloud from within a soft, pulsing glow. Each flash is brief, but it lingers in memory. It turns night into day for the blink of an eye. It reminds you of the power in the air around you, usually invisible, always present. When the rain finally comes, it feels like release. The air cools, the dust settles, the wind eases its grip. The sound of falling rain becomes a rhythm steady, calming, ancient. Thunderstorms may roar, but they also soothe. They carry away heat. They feed the soil. They bring balance back to a restless atmosphere. Listen closely now. You can hear it in your mind, the soft tapping of raindrops on leaves, on rooftops, on windows. A chorus of water meeting earth. The low rumble of thunder in the distance, rolling gently like waves against a shore. Breathe in deeply. The air feels cleaner after a storm. Fresher, softer. That's not just in your imagination. Rain scrubs the atmosphere, washing away dust and impurities, cooling the world below. The storm's power is fierce, but its touch afterward is gentle. Thunderstorms also connect the ground to the sky in a way few other phenomena do. Lightning strikes release nitrogen compounds into the air, feeding the soil when the rain carries them down. In this way, storms are not just dramatic, they are gardeners, nurturing the living world with every flash. All around the world, cultures have listened to the voice of thunder. Some called it the footsteps of gods. Some said it was the beating of the sky's heart. In truth, it is simply the sound of air, startled into motion by lightning's sudden warmth. But the feeling it stirs, that quiet awe, is something all humans share. Even animals sense storms coming. Birds quiet their songs. Insects still their wings. The forest holds its breath. Long before the first flash, the changing pressure and electric field whisper the news of what's coming. And then, just as quickly as it arrived, the storm will begin to fade. The thunder rolls farther away, the lightning flashes less often, The rain softens to a drizzle, then to mist. The dark sky brightens again, as if slowly exhaling. After a storm, the world always feels different. Colours seem sharper. The air feels clearer. The trees seem to stand taller, their leaves heavy with raindrops. Puddles form tiny mirrors, catching the last light of the day or reflecting the first stars of night. The storm doesn't just change the sky, it changes the earth below. If you've ever listened to rain at night, you know how it lulls the mind. Even the loudest thunderstorm carries a strange, deep calm. Beneath the flashes and rumbles is a rhythm, a steady heartbeat. That heartbeat has rocked forests, fields, and cities to sleep for millennia. Imagine now that you're lying somewhere safe and warm as a storm moves in the distance. The thunder is soft, like a drumbeat on the edge of hearing. The rain comes in waves, steady, soothing. The flashes of lightning are muted by curtains of rain. There's nothing to do, nowhere to be, just the sound, the rhythm, the breath of the world. Each raindrop carries the memory of the sky. Each rumble of thunder is the voice of the clouds. Each flash of lightning is a heartbeat. And when the last drop falls, when the last distant thunder fades into silence, all that remains is the clean, quiet world, washed, renewed, resting. This is the gift of the storm. Take a slow breath now. In and out. Let the sound of imagined rain settle into your chest. Let it slow your heartbeat. Let the power of the storm fade into calm. Thunderstorms may rise with energy, but they always end in stillness. And in that stillness, the night becomes soft again. The air is cool. The ground is damp. The sky, once alive with light and sound, settles into a deep, star-filled silence. Somewhere far away, another storm will be born, a new cloud rising, a new spark waiting. But here, now, the world is quiet. The storm has passed. The sky breathes again. Not all winds move gently. Not all clouds drift softly. Sometimes the air and the sea and the sky weave together into something far more powerful, a force both breathtaking and humbling. These are nature's great spirals, tornadoes and hurricanes. They are born from the same atmosphere that gives us breezes and summer storms. But here, the sky gathers its energy into swirling, unforgettable shapes. To understand these storms, we must return once more to the beginning, to warm air, to rising winds, to pressure shifting like the slow beat of a drum. It begins quietly. Warm air rises, as it always does. Cool air sinks. But sometimes the contrast between the two is so sharp, the movement so intense, that the air doesn't just flow, it spins, it twists. It curls around itself like a dancer caught in a whirlwind. This is how a tornado is born. Imagine standing on a wide plain on a heavy afternoon. The air is warm and wet, almost thick against your skin. Above, dark clouds stretch across the sky. Wind moves in one direction near the ground and in another high above. The difference in these winds and their speed, their direction begins to twist the rising air. Slowly at first, then faster. Inside the storm, invisible currents coil like a rope being twisted tighter and tighter. And then, when the updraft is strong enough, the spinning column of air tilts upright, dropping from the cloud base like a ghostly finger. Dust and debris whirl upward as the funnel takes shape. A tornado touches the ground. Tornadoes are brief creatures. Some last only seconds. Others stretch their life into minutes. Sometimes an hour. But in that short time, They hold extraordinary energy. Air spins at speeds that can lift cars, pull trees from the ground, tear roofs from houses. And yet, as fierce as they are, they're also fragile, a balance of forces that can collapse as quickly as it formed. The world grows strangely still before a tornado. The birds stop singing. The wind pauses. Even the insects grow silent. Pressure drops in the air, a deep, invisible shift that you can feel in your chest. And then, suddenly, the sky's quiet turns into a low, steady roar. Tornadoes are sculptors. They carve paths through fields, forests and towns. They reshape the land in minutes. But they do not linger. When the storm loses its energy, when the balance tilts, the funnel thins, unravels, and disappears. The air sighs in its wake, as though exhaling a held breath. If tornadoes are brief, sharp breaths of the atmosphere, hurricanes are long, slow songs. A hurricane begins over warm ocean water. The sea surface warms the air above it, filling it with vapor. The warm, moist air rises. As it does, it cools, condenses, and releases heat, a soft but powerful energy that fuels the storm like a hidden engine. As more air rises, surface winds rush in to take its place. But because the earth is turning, these winds begin to spiral. At first, it's only a tropical disturbance, a cluster of thunderstorms turning lazily above the sea. But if the water is warm enough, if the winds align just right, the spiral tightens. The system grows organized. It breathes in moisture, breathes out energy, and becomes a living storm. This is how a hurricane or typhoon, or cyclone, depending on where it's born, comes to life. From above, it looks like a perfect circle. A slow, massive spiral of clouds stretching for hundreds of kilometers. At its heart is the eye, a calm, clear center where the air sinks gently, where the sea below can be still. Around that eye, the eye wall rages. Here, the storm is at its strongest. Winds howl in endless circles. Rain falls in sheets so thick the world beyond them disappears. The air here moves not in straight lines, but in graceful, terrifying arcs. The storm feeds on warm water. As long as it has heat and moisture, it grows stronger. Its arms reach outward, spinning bands of rain that can stretch for miles. But hurricanes, for all their strength, are creatures of balance. They are born from warmth and humidity. If they drift over cooler water or touch land, they begin to weaken. Their spiral loosens, their voice softens, and eventually, like a wave returning to the sea, they fade. Standing near a hurricane's edge is a strange experience. The wind builds slowly, the air grows heavy, wet. Clouds roll in bands, one after another, like the beating of a great heart. Rain comes and goes, stronger each time. And then the eye wall arrives, the storm's fierce heartbeat. Wind roars. Trees bend. The air itself feels alive, pulling and pushing as if breathing. And then, suddenly, stillness. The eye passes overhead. The sky may clear, even turn blue for a few moments. Birds sometimes fly, confused by the calm. People step outside, thinking the worst is over. But the storm isn't done. The calm is the center, and the other half waits on the other side. When the eye wall returns, the wind changes direction, as if the world has turned around. The second half of the storm can be as strong as the first, sometimes stronger. And yet, even the most powerful hurricane eventually runs out of warmth to feed it. It slows, it weakens, it returns its energy to the sea and the air. These great spirals are not new. They have turned across the oceans for millions of years. Before cities, before ships, before names, they are part of the Earth's way of moving energy, of balancing heat between sea and sky. Their scale is vast, but their nature is simple. Warm air rising, wind spiralling, the world turning beneath their feet. Imagine yourself far above the Earth now, looking down on one of these storms from the quiet of space. Below you, a perfect spiral turns white clouds wrapped around a dark, calm centre. You can see the bands of rain reaching outward like fingers. You can see the curve of the ocean beneath it. From up here, the storm is silent, graceful, a living pattern etched on the face of the planet. The same storm, seen from the ground, is a different experience. Wind roars in your ears. Rain lashes the world. The air hums with a low, continuous growl. But both views are true. The storm is both beautiful and powerful. It is both pattern and force. Hurricanes carry both danger and life. Their rains feed rivers, forests, and wetlands. Their winds shape coastlines. Over centuries, they carve the edges of continents. But they can also take, reminding us of the strength of the planet we live on, a strength far older than we are. Tornadoes, too, are a reminder of that strength. Short-lived but intense, they trace the sharp edges of atmospheric instability. They are quick signatures of the same forces that build gentle breezes and summer rains, just written in a wilder hand. Yet even in their power, both tornadoes and hurricanes are bound by balance. They begin when warmth rises and end when that warmth is gone. They do not linger. They are born, they dance, they fade. Close your eyes now. Picture the spiral of a storm seen from far above. Picture the spinning funnel reaching toward the ground. Imagine the hum of the wind, the roar of rain, the rhythm of something vast moving through the world. Now, imagine the quiet after. The wind slow, the rain softens, the clouds thin and lift. Sunlight returns, gentle at first, like the world, and waking after a long night. Birds return. The air smells new, as though the sky itself has been rinsed clean. Every storm ends, every spiral unwinds, every roar becomes silence again. Tornadoes and hurricanes remind us that the sky can hold both power and peace. They are not separate from the breezes that cool your face at night, from the soft winds that carry the scent of rain. They are made of the same air, the same vapour, the same world. Take a slow breath in, and let it go. The storm may rage, but it will always pass. And when it does, the night becomes still again. Wind is something we feel every day, but rarely do we stop to listen to it, to truly hear it. It slips between tree branches. It whispers through the cracks of old windows. It brushes against your skin in a way that's almost invisible, yet deeply familiar. We often think of wind as a single thing, a breeze, a gust, a rush of air, but in truth, it is many things at once. A messenger, a sculptor, a memory that travels the world without ever staying in one place. It connects mountain peaks to ocean waves, forests to deserts, continents to clouds. The story of wind doesn't begin in the clouds. It begins with contrast, with warmth and coolness, with high pressure and low, with sunlight pouring unevenly across the curve of the earth. As air warms, it rises. As it cools, it sinks. In between, something stirs. It doesn't rush at first. It drifts. It glides. And then, with time and distance, it grows into something stronger. Even the softest breeze you feel on your face at night has travelled. It may have begun its journey days ago, over an ocean you've never seen. It may have brushed past distant fields or circled high above forests. By the time it reaches you, it carries stories from places far away. Close your eyes and imagine standing on a quiet hill. The night is still. You can hear your own breath. Then, almost imperceptibly, the air stirs. It curls past your cheek like a secret being, shared. That is wind at its gentlest, a soft, slow wandering through the world. But wind has many faces. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it roars. Sometimes it sings. The secret of wind is that it never stops moving. Even when the world feels still, the air is always flowing, shifting, searching for balance it will never truly find. Above the surface, winds follow great rivers of air called jet streams, powerful bands that circle the planet. They push storms, guide clouds, shape the weather for entire regions. Closer to the ground, winds twist and turn around hills, forests, cities. They weave through valleys, slip across fields, bend around every obstacle in their path. Every breeze you feel is the surface of something far larger, a single brushstroke in a global painting that never ends. Wind also carries weight. It moves sand across deserts, shaping dunes like flowing water. It carries seeds from tree to tree, from field to forest, allowing life to take root far from where it began. It spreads scents and sounds, whispers and songs. It's how the world speaks softly to itself. Imagine now that you're drifting high above the ground, lifted by invisible hands. Below you, the earth stretches wide and silent. You can see rivers winding through valleys, mountains standing like dark waves, and oceans shining in the sun. But what's most beautiful isn't the landscape. It's the motion of the air around it, endless, invisible, gentle but vast. The wind-up here is a quiet tide. It moves with purpose but not haste. You can almost feel it weaving itself around the world, wrapping everything in a single, shared breath. Winds are shaped by the places they pass. Over warm seas, they grow soft and wet, carrying moisture to distant shores. Over dry deserts, they become hot, light, thirsty. Over forests, they cool and take the scent of leaves. Over cities, they pick up warmth from concrete and rooftops. The same air can change its character 1,000 times in a single journey. Sometimes wind is steady, flowing like a river. Sometimes it swirls and eddies, twisting itself into playful spirals behind rocks, hills, and buildings. These small dancing currents shape how leaves rustle, how smoke curls, how a candle flickers in the dark. And sometimes wind becomes something much larger, a gale that roars across the sea, a gust that sweeps through canyons, a storm that bends trees to its will. But even then, it's not angry. It's simply doing what wind does, moving the world's warmth, carrying its stories. There's a strange comfort in wind's persistence. It never really belongs to one place. It moves on, always. Think about the wind you felt today, or the breeze you'll feel tomorrow. Long before it touched your skin, it may have passed over mountains, rivers, open oceans. It may have been part of a gentle trade wind spiraling through the tropics, or part of the great westerlies racing across continents. And after it leaves you, it will keep going towards someone else's night. Wind is a traveller, and travellers are patient. It also has a memory, not in the way we do, with thoughts or words, but in the way it carries traces of the places it's been. a faint scent of pine from a forest, the sharp, clean edge of salt from the sea, the dryness of a desert, the warmth of a sunlit plain. Every gust is a letter carried across the world, written in temperature and pressure, in softness and strength. Now picture the mountains. When wind meets them, it doesn't stop. It climbs. It curls upward, forced by the towering slopes. As it rises, it cools. Moisture condenses, and clouds form like scarves wrapping the peaks. On the other side, the air descends again, dry and warm. This is why valleys can be bathed in sun, while mountain tops wear veils of mist. This rising and falling, called orographic lifting, is part of the secret life of wind. It isn't just movement, it's transformation. Air goes up one way, comes down another. The mountain shapes it, but the wind shapes the mountain too, carving ridges, smoothing slopes, wearing down stone grain by grain over centuries. Wind shapes sound as well. The way you hear a distant bell, or the way leaves rustle outside your window, isn't just the sound itself, it's how the air carries it to you. Wind bends sound, softens it, sometimes amplifies it. It makes the world seem closer or farther away. It's the same with scent. A breeze can bring you the smell of rain before the first drop falls. It can carry the warmth of baking bread through a city street. It can bring the wild green of pine forests or the cool wet scent of snow. Wind makes the world share its flavors. Even the quietest moment is filled with air in motion. If you hold your hand out in the dark, still and patient, you might feel it. Just a brush, a touch of the unseen. It's the atmosphere reminding you that it's always there, always breathing. There is another secret wind keeps. It carries life. Seeds float on its back like tiny ships. Spores drift like invisible explorers. Insects rise into its currents, sometimes travelling farther than their wings could ever carry them alone. Whole ecosystems depend on wind to spread their stories, and in return, the earth gives wind-shaped valleys that channel it, forests that slow it, oceans that smooth it. It's a partnership, a dance. Neither truly leads, neither truly follows. They move together. Take a slow breath in and out. What you feel filling your lungs is the same air that's travelled the world, the same air that once brushed past glaciers, deserts, jungles and seas. You are breathing in a journey that began long before you were born. In the far north, winds sweep across ice fields, cold and sharp, whispering through endless frozen silence. Over the tropics, they are warm, soft, full of moisture. Over deserts, they swirl like dancers in golden dust. Over cities, they weave between towers, bending to their shape, never stopping, never staying. Wind can also tell us when change is coming. A warm wind before a cold rain, a sudden stillness before a storm, a cool breeze at dusk after a long, hot day. We may not always understand its language with words, but our bodies know it. We feel it in our skin, our breath, our quietest instincts. For travellers and dreamers, the wind has always been a companion. It filled sails that crossed oceans. It carried kites and gliders into the sky. It whispered to shepherds and sailors, to poets and wanderers. Its touch is the same everywhere, yet always different. And perhaps that is its greatest secret. Wind belongs to no one, and yet it touches everyone. Close your eyes again. Imagine the world turning slowly beneath a great ocean of air. Imagine rivers of wind flowing over mountains, across plains, over seas. Imagine the soft sigh of air at your window, a small piece of something vast. Every breath of wind you feel is part of a journey that never ends. A journey shared by forests and cities, deserts and oceans, you and everyone else beneath this sky. The wind has always been here. It was here before us, and it will be here long after. Breathe in and let the wind go on. Winter has its own kind of quiet, a silence that settles gently, like a blanket across the land. The world seems to breathe more slowly. The air sharpens, the light softens, and above it all, the sky takes on a different voice, calm, patient, crystalline. The story of winter begins with the earth's gentle tilt. We lean away from the sun, and the days grow shorter. Light arrives at a lower angle, sliding softly across the horizon instead of pouring from above. Shadows stretch long. The air grows cold. The warmth that once rushed upward in great plumes during summer slows, sinks, and holds still. This is when the sky begins to speak in the language of frost. Step outside on a winter morning, before the world has fully woken. The air feels sharper against your skin, almost weightless. It doesn't press the way summer air does. It lifts and bites gently, clean and crisp. Every breath you take becomes a soft cloud of vapor, curling and vanishing into the chilled air. Above you, the sky is often clear in winter, a vast canvas washed pale blue during the day, deep velvet black at night. The stars seem closer, their light sharper, almost cold. That clarity comes from the air itself. Cold air holds less moisture, so it becomes transparent, crisp, still. On the calmest nights, the stars don't twinkle. They shine steady and quiet, as though even light slows down to rest. But winter isn't just stillness. It's movement too, in its own way. Cold fronts slip across the land like long shadows, pushing the air before them. Winds sharpen, clouds gather low and heavy. Snow can form silently, with no thunder or flash, only the soft whisper of flakes falling from the sky. Snow is one of the most delicate things the atmosphere creates. It begins high in the clouds, where moisture freezes into ice crystals. Each crystal forms around a single speck of dust or salt, but as it drifts downward, it grows, branching into patterns too intricate to ever be repeated. No two snowflakes are truly the same. Each one is a small, frozen story, a record of the air it passed through, the temperature it felt, the moisture it held. When snow falls, the world changes its sound. Streets grow quiet, forests hush, footsteps soften. The snow absorbs the noise of the world, wrapping everything in a soft, muffled calm. Even the wind seems to move differently, slower, heavier, as though careful not to disturb the sleeping earth. Close your eyes, picture it. You're walking through a winter night. The air is cold against your cheeks, but it's gentle, not cruel. Snow drifts slowly downward in the glow of a streetlight. The world feels smaller, closer, wrapped in silence. You hear only the crunch of your own steps and the soft whisper of falling flakes. This is the winter sky's lullaby, a song of stillness and softness. The sky in winter has layers. Near the ground, cold air hugs the surface, heavy and still. Above it, warmer air sometimes lingers, creating temperature inversions that trap mist and fog. In the mornings, this can fill valleys with pale silver clouds, rolling slowly like water. The sun, low and distant, turns the fog into glowing rivers of light. And then there is frost. Frost isn't snow. It doesn't fall from above. It grows from the air itself. On the coldest nights, moisture clings to leaves, windows, and branches, freezing into delicate crystals. Frost looks fragile, like lace spun by the sky, but it's a powerful reminder of how air changes shape when the temperature falls. If you lean close to a frosted window, you can see the branching patterns stretch outward like tiny forests of ice. Each branch a record of a silent night, of the exact way air met cold in that moment. And when the morning sun rises, those tiny forests melt away, returning to the air as vapour, ready to form again. But not all winter skies are gentle. Sometimes the stillness breaks. Cold fronts collide with warmer air. Winds shift, storm clouds build, and then the snow begins to fall in earnest, swirling and dancing through the air like drifting feathers. A snowstorm can be silent or fierce, soft as a whisper or roaring like the ocean. But always, it transforms the world. In these storms, air moves differently. Instead of thunderheads or towering columns, winter storms often form wide, layered clouds, stratus and nimbostratus, stretching across the sky like endless blankets. From these clouds, snow falls in steady waves, hour after hour. Each flake joins the others on the ground, building a soft new landscape. For centuries, winter storms have been storytellers. They shape rivers and valleys, they feed glaciers, they carve mountains with the weight of ice. They slow the world, reminding us that nature has rhythms larger than us. And yet, there's beauty in their strength. Standing in a snowstorm, you can feel the air wrapping around you, pushing gently, never still. The flakes melt against your skin, tiny sparks of cold warmth. Even in their quietest moment, winter storms remind you that the sky is alive. Winter skies also bring a special kind of light. It's softer, lower, it doesn't blaze, it glows. On overcast days, clouds scatter the sunlight so evenly that shadows disappear. The world becomes gentle, edges blurred. At night, even faint lights reflect off snow, making the darkness seem less deep. This is why winter nights often feel luminous. The snow on the ground and the clouds above turn the air into a soft lantern. Even without stars, the night glows faintly silver, blue, or white. It's as if the world is holding a quiet light inside itself. Breathe in now. Feel the coolness of imagined winter air fill your lungs. Breathe out slowly, watching a thin cloud of your breath curl into the night. Winter air has a way of reminding us how fragile and powerful the world can be. Cold is not empty, it's full of motion, even when we can't see it. Molecules slow down but never stop. The wind grows sharper, but it never disappears. The earth sleeps, but it also prepares. In some places, the winter sky dances. The aurora borealis, the northern lights, flickers in waves of green, pink and gold. These lights are born high above, where solar winds brush against Earth's magnetic shield. They swirl like silk curtains in the night, whispering across frozen lakes and silent forests. Watching them is like seeing the sky breathe in colour. But even without auroras, the winter night has its magic. A single star, bright and steady. A full moon hanging low, turning the snow into a sea of light. The sound of a soft wind moving through bare branches. The crackle of ice beneath your feet. All of it part of the quiet story the sky tells this time of year. And just as every winter begins, every winter ends. The sun slowly climbs higher. Snow melts. The air softens. The silence loosens its hold. But while it lasts, winter gives us something rare, a chance to listen to the world without noise, to hear the air itself take another slow breath. In and out. The winter sky holds a stillness that few other seasons can match, a hush that settles not just over fields and forests, but inside us too. It slows the world down just enough for us to notice its smallest sounds, the sigh of the wind, the fall of a snowflake, the faint groan of frozen trees shifting in the night. And when the snow begins to melt, when the sky softens its voice and spring draws near, you'll remember the feeling of it, that quiet, that softness, that moment of breath between seasons. The winter sky isn't just a season. It's a pause, a whisper, a slow heartbeat beneath the stars. And now, as this chapter drifts to a close, imagine yourself lying in the snow beneath a deep, clear winter night. The stars are steady, the air is cold, but it holds you gently. The world is silent, except for your own breathing. Nothing rushes, nothing pulls. There is only stillness. This is the sky in winter, quiet, endless, alive. Some nights the sky doesn't shout. It doesn't flash or rumble or swirl. It simply lowers itself toward the earth, soft and quiet, wrapping everything in a veil of silver air. This is the language of fog. Fog doesn't rush. It doesn't roar. It arrives the way sleep does, slowly, gently, silently. You may not even notice it at first. A soft blur around the edges of the night. A hush that slides across fields and rivers. A stillness in the air. And then, suddenly, the world seems closer, quieter, as if wrapped in its own breath. Fog is simply a cloud that has decided to settle down on the ground. It forms when air cools to the point where it can hold no more moisture, and water vapour condenses into tiny droplets. These droplets are so small they float in the air, turning the world into a soft, glowing haze. You've probably seen fog in the early morning, draped over valleys, curled around trees, resting on still water. It's not just weather. It's a kind of quiet that sinks into everything it touches. Mist and fog are sisters. The difference between them is only a matter of thickness. Mist is lighter, thinner, like a gentle breath brushing against the world. Fog is denser, heavier, wrapping everything in its arms. Both have the same soul, the stillness of air meeting water. Step outside into a foggy night and the world changes. Sounds become soft and close. A distant footstep doesn't echo, it whispers. Streetlights glow like lanterns behind a curtain, their edges blurred. Even your own breath seems to merge with the air around you, indistinguishable from the mist itself. There's something timeless about fog. It looks the same now as it did 1,000 years ago. It moves the same way, slow, deliberate, graceful. If you stand still long enough, you can almost feel the world breathing with it. Fog often forms in the cool hours of night and early morning. When the ground radiates heat away after a long day, the air above it cools. As it cools, moisture condenses and a cloud gently descends. Sometimes it forms in valleys where cold air pools like water in a bowl. Sometimes it drifts in from the sea, sliding inland like a great silver tide. It doesn't take storms to shape the air, just temperature, just patience, just time. Imagine now you are standing in a wide field just before dawn. The ground is cool beneath your feet. The world is dim, lit only by the faintest pre-dawn light, and all around you, fog lies low, hugging the earth. It moves like breath, not in gusts, but in waves that you can barely see. The air smells clean, like wet soil and new beginnings. Somewhere in the distance, a bird calls once, and its voice seems closer than it should be. Fog bends sound, pulling it inward, making the world feel smaller and more intimate. The horizon disappears. The stars fade. Even the trees just a few meters away melt into soft silhouettes. The world isn't gone, it's just hiding. This is one of fog's quietest gifts. It changes what we see, not by erasing the world, but by wrapping it in mystery. Every step becomes an exploration. Every sound feels closer. Every light is a warm glow in the distance. It's as if the air itself is whispering, "Slow down." And fog moves slowly. You can stand still and watch it roll, an invisible tide creeping through valleys, slipping between tree trunks, curling around buildings. Unlike storms, it doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand your attention. It simply is. Sailors have long feared fog at sea, where it hides coastlines and turns the horizon into a blank canvas. But they've also respected it for its calm, for its steady hand on the world. Fog has guided as much as it has confused. In forests, fog nourishes. The droplets that float in the air collect on leaves, drip down to the soil, and feed plants that wait quietly beneath the canopy. Even without rain, fog can water a forest, breathing life into the world one drop at a time. Some places live in fog for weeks or months at a time. Coastal cities, where warm currents meet cold air. Mountain valleys, where cool nights invite it back again and again. In these places, fog becomes more than weather. It's part of the rhythm of life. A morning visitor, a patient friend. Mist is even softer. It's what touches your skin as you walk through a forest after rain. It's what hovers above rivers at sunrise, so light it seems to float on its own breath. Mist doesn't hide the world, it softens it. Trees glow at the edges, grass catches the first light like crystal threads. If fog is a blanket, mist is a whisper. Imagine yourself walking through a misty forest path. Each step is slow, quiet. Dew collects on the edges of leaves. A single droplet falls from a fern and lands on the ground, with the faintest sound, almost like time itself is moving in slow motion. The air is cool but kind. It presses gently against your cheeks, fills your lungs with damp sweetness. You breathe in, and it feels as though the world is breathing with you. Fog and mist remind us that not all power is loud. Not all weather comes with thunder or heat. Sometimes the most profound transformations come with silence. When fog lifts, it doesn't shout its goodbye. It thins. It softens. A single gust of warm air might peel it away. A rising sun burns it gently, like pulling aside a curtain, and beneath it, the world emerges not new, but somehow quieter, as if it remembers the silence. Fog also plays with light in beautiful ways. Street lamps glow like halos. Sunbeams become visible, slicing through the mist like golden ribbons. Even moonlight can turn fog into something magical. A silver glow that makes the night feel soft and endless. There's a rare sight called a fog bow, a pale rainbow that appears when sunlight passes through tiny droplets. Unlike the bright colours of a normal rainbow, a fog bow is white, ghostly, quiet, a reminder that light and mist can paint the sky with whispers instead of shouts. For centuries, fog has crept through our stories. Poets wrote about it, travellers feared it, dreamers followed it. It's a reminder that the air we breathe is not just empty space, it can hold shape, texture, feeling. It can embrace the world the way a soft hand holds a fragile thing. Fog doesn't rush us forward. It slows us down. It asks us to listen, to breathe, to be present. Now, imagine lying on soft grass as fog drifts overhead. The world around you is barely visible. just silhouettes and shapes. The air is cool on your face. Each breath comes slowly. Each sound is near. You don't need to see the horizon. You don't need to move. The fog will pass when it's ready. Because fog is patient. It arrives when the night cools, when the air softens, when the world is ready for quiet. It lingers, and then it leaves without a sound, letting the day return. Take a deep breath in, and let it go. The fog is neither friend nor foe. It's a gentle pause between the known and the unseen. A curtain the sky lowers when it wants the world to rest. Tonight, as you listen, imagine that fog wrapping itself gently around the earth, a soft veil over mountains, fields, rivers, cities, a breath shed between the air and the ground. It doesn't have to last forever, it only needs to be. Some weather arrives quietly, a soft breeze, a whisper of fog, a gentle rain. But some weather comes not with movement, but with stillness. A kind of heat that settles over the land like an invisible weight. The wind slows, the air thickens, days stretch long and golden, and the ground begins to thirst. This is the language of heat waves and droughts. A heat wave isn't just a hot day. It's the persistence of heat, sunlight pouring down day after day, while the air refuses to let it go. Normally, warmth rises, drifts, moves on, but sometimes the atmosphere folds itself into a quiet, unmoving dome. High pressure builds overhead, like a soft but unrelenting hand. Air sinks gently, pressing against the ground, locking the warmth in place. Under this dome, clouds have no room to grow. Rain struggles to fall. The wind, once restless, grows tired. The sun burns bright and steady. The sky turns pale, washed out and endless. At first, the heat feels familiar. A warm day, a golden afternoon. But slowly, as the hours stretch and the breeze fades, it grows heavier. Shadows shorten. The air becomes thick, like it's holding its breath. Trees still their rustling, birds grow quiet. Even the earth seems to sigh. On such days, mornings offer a brief, fragile coolness. A thin layer of soft air lingers before the sun climbs and burns it away. By noon, the world shimmers. Heat waves rise from rooftops, from roads, from the dry ground itself. They distort the air, bending light, making distant shapes blur and dance like water. This shimmering is the heat speaking not in sound, but in movement. Every wavering ripple is a story of air warming, expanding, rising. In the countryside, the scent of heat is different. Dust warms underfoot, dry grass releases a faint, sweet smell. The earth itself seems to exhale. Cracks appear in the soil, small at first, then deepening like lines on an ancient face. Leaves curl at their edges, conserving the last of their moisture. Rivers and ponds shrink back, showing stones and sand that haven't felt the sun in months. Heat waves don't shout. They linger. They stretch time. A single hot day is simple. But a week, 2 weeks, a month without relief, that's when the land begins to change. Even the air changes texture. It feels heavier, as if your lungs must work harder to draw it in. It moves slower, like water thickened by warmth. Cicadas sing in the distance, their constant drone rising and falling with the heat. In cities, heat gathers in the concrete. Streets and buildings absorb sunlight all day, then release it slowly at night, turning evenings into warm echoes of the day. Pavement shimmers. The air above rooftops wavers. Nights offer little relief. The world glows faintly under the pressure of it. This is one of the quiet powers of the atmosphere. It doesn't need storms to show its strength. Sometimes it shows it through stillness. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine it. The sky is cloudless. The air is still. The sun burns steady. There is no wind, no sound but the low hum of the earth breathing through heat. In some places, this stillness lasts for weeks. Rivers run low, grasslands turn golden, then brown. The land begins to thirst. This is where heat waves meet drought. Drought is not a single event. It's an absence. A long, slow waiting for rain that does not come. At first, the earth holds its breath, expecting relief. But as the days stretch on, the air grows dry, the soil cracks deeper, and the leaves begin to fall. Even the sky looks different in drought. The blue deepens, endless and unbroken by clouds. The horizon blurs in a golden haze. Dust rises in faint spirals, moving slowly across fields and roads. And yet, droughts are quiet. They do not arrive with thunder. They arrive with the slow withdrawal of moisture, like the world itself exhaling and forgetting to breathe in again. Every living thing feels it. Trees close the tiny mouths on their leaves to hold on to what water they can. Rivers pull back into themselves. Grass stiffens. Animals move slowly, conserving energy. Even the air smells different, dry, sun-baked, dusty. But there is also a strange beauty in this stillness. The sunrises are sharper. The stars at night shine without a veil. The silence grows so deep that even the smallest sound carries a bird's call, a leaf's rustle, your own breath. Heat has weight, but it also has memory. Long after the sun sets, the world holds onto the warmth, releasing it slowly into the night air. On such nights, the ground itself feels warm beneath your feet, like the earth is keeping a secret ember alive. Not all droughts are vast deserts. Sometimes they visit forests, grasslands, farmlands. Sometimes they last a week, sometimes years. But no matter how long they stay, they change the rhythm of the world. The rivers slow, the wind grows still, life becomes patient, and still there's movement invisible, subtle. Warm air rises slowly, like a sigh. Tiny spirals of dust climb upward, dancing lazily in the sun. The earth waits. Ancient cultures learned to read this stillness. They knew the language of the land, the way the air feels before a heat wave, the way the ground smells when rain has not fallen for too long. They built their lives around the slow, breathing cycles of the sky. Because every drought, no matter how long, ends eventually. A shift in the wind, a front moving in, a cloud forming on the horizon where once there was none. The sound of distant thunder breaking the silence like a long-awaited song. And then rain. Rain after a drought is unlike any other. The ground drinks greedily. The air turns electric with the scent of petrichor, that sharp, sweet fragrance released when dry earth finally meets water. Plants lift their heads. Dust turns to mud. The silence softens into the patter of droplets. But even in its hardest days, drought is part of the sky's story. Just as fog is softness and thunder is power, drought is stillness. A breath held too long. A waiting. If you stand beneath a heatwave sky at midday, close your eyes and listen carefully, you'll notice something remarkable. The quiet is not empty. It hums. It vibrates. The air itself has a sound, not like music, but like the pulse of something vast and alive. You feel it on your skin, too. The sun's touch isn't sharp. It's constant. It doesn't shout. It lingers. You can almost hear the earth turning slowly beneath it, like a great stone warming under the gaze of the sky. Heat waves shape landscapes as much as storms do. They dry lakes, carve riverbeds, press the air into the soil. They test the patience of the land and the resilience of everything that lives upon it. And yet, they too are part of a cycle. When the winds shift and the rain returns, when clouds roll in and the first cool breeze touches your face after long, still days, the world breathes again. The plants stir, the rivers stretch, the cicadas fall silent, replaced by the soft music of rain. Take a slow breath in and out. This is the balance of the sky. Not every force is loud. Not every change comes with movement. Sometimes the sky teaches us through stillness. It shows us that even silence has weight. Even waiting is a part of the world's rhythm. Now imagine lying beneath that vast summer sky. The sun is warm, steady, the air is still, the world is holding its breath, and you too can simply rest in that stillness. No rushing, no storms, just heat, just quiet, just time. Every heat wave ends. Every drought breaks, and when it does, the earth breathes again. Not all of the sky's stories are storms, not all are heat or fog or wind. Some are softer, quieter. Moments of light and colour that arrive not to shake the world, but to remind us how beautiful it can be. These are the small miracles, rainbows, halos, glories, and lights that dance where sun and air meet. Rainbows begin simply, with rain and sunlight. It's an old story, older than any language, older than the first eyes to see it. Rain falls, the sun shines through the drops, and something happens that feels almost like magic. Each droplet of rain acts like a tiny prism, bending and reflecting the sunlight. The light, though it looks white, is made of colours, and when it passes through a raindrop, those colours fan out like a soft, radiant arc. Red bends the least, violet the most. Together, they paint the sky in a perfect, gentle curve. If you've ever stood after a summer storm, when the air is still damp and the sunlight returns, you know the feeling. The air smells of wet earth. The world is quiet. And then, like a soft promise, a rainbow stretches across the sky. It doesn't roar, it doesn't demand. It simply exists, glowing softly, waiting to be noticed. Rainbows are personal. No two people see the exact same one. Because the angle of light and raindrops is unique to each set of eyes, every rainbow is your own private painting in the sky. The one you see, no one else ever will, not quite the same way. And they don't last long. Rainbows are fragile. A change in the angle of light, a shift in the breeze, and they fade like a dream. But while they last, time seems to slow. The world pauses. Even the smallest, quietest heart can feel that gentle pull, the invitation to simply look. There are many kinds of rainbows. The bright primary arc we all know, and the fainter secondary rainbow that sometimes hovers above it, reversed in colour order. There are rainbows seen in the mist of waterfalls, in the spray of ocean waves, even in the fine droplets that rise when you water a garden on a sunny afternoon. Rainbows are reminders that light is never still. It's always travelling, always bending, always revealing more than we can see at first glance. But rainbows are only one of the sky's quiet wonders. When sunlight passes through ice crystals in thin, high clouds, another kind of halo can appear. A circle of pale light surrounds the sun or the moon, delicate, ghostly, almost like a ring drawn in mist. These halos are born high in the atmosphere, where cirrostratus clouds drift like thin veils. Step outside on a cold, clear night when the moon is bright. Look up, and if the sky wishes, you might see that soft circle of light. It's not a sign of power or storm. It's a whisper, a subtle reminder that even the coldest air holds beauty. Sometimes, when sunlight meets the right kind of cloud droplets, you might see a glory, a soft, circular rainbow that surrounds your own shadow. Mountain climbers sometimes see this from above the clouds. Pilots see it around their planes. It's like the sky painting a halo just for you. Then there are sundogs. On icy mornings, when sunlight passes through floating crystals in the air, two bright spots of light appear to either side of the sun, like guardian stars. They shimmer faintly, tinged with rainbow colours. They've been seen for centuries, a quiet wonder of winter skies. All these phenomena, rainbows, halos, sundogs, glories, are born from the same thing: sunlight and the breath of the atmosphere. Light bends, scatters, reflects. The air becomes a canvas. The sky paints. Imagine standing after a rainstorm. The world is still wet. The air is cool and fresh. A soft beam of sunlight cuts through the lingering mist. Slowly, delicately, a rainbow begins to form, faint at first, then brighter, stretching across the sky like a bridge between the earth and something higher. Your feet are on the ground, but your gaze is lifted. Or imagine a cold winter night. The moon floats high, pale and distant. Around it, a perfect ring of light glows faintly through icy air. Everything else is quiet. The halo doesn't move. It doesn't need to. It simply watches the world below. These wonders don't demand storms. They live in the moments after, in the spaces between. When the rain has stopped, when the wind has quieted, when the light has a chance to play, they are the sky's way of exhaling. Even in places where storms are fierce, rainbows often follow. When the thunder fades and the clouds pull apart, sunlight spills through the last drops of rain, and something beautiful emerges from what was once chaos. It's a reminder written in light that even the wildest sky ends in calm. There are rarer wonders too. Mirages on hot days, where heat bends light and turns distant horizons into shimmering lakes that aren't really there. Pillars of light at sunset, when ice crystals reflect the last rays of the sun upward into golden columns. Even the green flash a brief bright blink of emerald at the moment the sun dips below the horizon. The atmosphere is full of light we don't always notice. Sometimes it hides in the edges of the day in the first soft blue, before dawn, in the last golden glow before dusk. Sometimes it hides in the faint shimmer of air above a warm road, or the halo of the moon on a quiet night. If you've ever watched a sunset, you've seen this quiet magic. The colours shift slowly: blue to gold, gold to orange, orange to pink, pink to purple, purple to deep twilight. It's the earth turning. It's the sunlight passing through thicker air, scattering in longer wavelengths. It's the sky painting itself just for a moment. Sunrises are the same, but softer. While sunsets close the day with warmth, sunrises whisper it awake. Mist rises from rivers, light pools gently over the horizon. The first beams slide across fields and cities alike. Birds begin to stir. Leaves catch the light and glow. Rainbows and their cousins are fragile. They do not stay long. That's part of their wonder. They ask nothing of you, only that you notice. Close your eyes now and imagine a rainbow forming after the rain. The air is cool, the sky is brightening. You can smell the earth, warm and wet beneath your feet. A curve of light arcs above you, silent and soft. You don't have to reach it. It's not there to be touched. only seen, only felt. Or imagine the night sky, clear and still, with a pale moon ringed by a faint halo. The air is cold, each breath clouds in front of you, and overhead the circle of light glows steadily, untouched by wind or time. This is the sky at its most peaceful. No storms, no urgency, only quiet beauty. These moments remind us that the atmosphere isn't just wind and rain and storms. It's also light, colour, reflection. It's the delicate brushstroke after the roar of thunder, the whisper after the wave, the breath between heartbeats. Throughout history, people have looked at these lights in the sky and seen meaning. Some saw rainbows as bridges between worlds. Some saw halos as signs from gods. Some simply saw them as reminders to look up. And in their own way, all of them were right. Because even now, with all we understand about how light bends and scatters, there's something that can't quite be explained by science alone. That quiet feeling in the chest when a rainbow arcs overhead. The feeling of being small and vast at the same time. Light travels from the sun, across space, through the air, through droplets and crystals and time, just to reach your eyes for a fleeting moment. And then it's gone. But in that moment, it is yours, entirely yours. Take a slow breath in and out. The rainbows, the halos, the lights at sunrise and sunset, the gentle shimmer of air. These are not loud things. They're the sky's softest gestures, the quietest parts of its story. You don't have to chase them. Just be still long enough to see. The sky has always been here, long before our cities, our ships, our names for wind and rain. The sky moved, breathed, whispered its stories across the earth. It was here before the first forest took root. It will be here long after we are gone. Weather is more than wind, rain, sun, or snow. It is memory, a living, shifting memory written in air. Every breeze that brushes your skin tonight carries pieces of the past. A molecule of air that touched the ocean may have once drifted through the lungs of a bird a continent away. A raindrop falling softly on your window may have risen as vapour from a distant lake centuries before. Air remembers, water remembers, the atmosphere keeps its stories moving. Close your eyes, breathe in slowly. What fills your lungs is not empty, it's ancient. It has been part of thunderstorms, fog, gentle rains, blizzards, monsoons. It has seen mountains form, seas dry, civilizations rise and fall. And now, for just a heartbeat of time, it's here with you. We live inside weather. It touches everything we do, the way we grow food, build homes, travel, sleep. And though we can predict it, track it, even understand its patterns, we never truly control it. It moves on its own rhythm, older than language. Think about the memories weather carries in your own life. A sudden rainstorm that caught you off guard one summer afternoon. The sound of thunder rolling through your childhood window. The first time you saw snow fall from a quiet grey sky. The way a warm breeze feels on a long walk home. Weather isn't just outside of us. It lives in us, too. In the way we remember moments, in the way a scent or sound can bring the past rushing back like wind through an open door, a gentle breeze through tall grass, the scent of petrichor after rain, the weight of humid air before a storm, the sharpness of a winter morning. Each of these sensations is tied to time, a thread connecting you to who you were and where you stood in another moment. The atmosphere itself is ancient, but every storm, every gust, every cloud is fleeting. The sky writes its stories in motion, never holding on to any one shape for long. Clouds form, drift, dissolve. Winds rise and fade. Rain falls and returns to the sea. Nothing stays, and yet nothing is ever truly lost. This is how time moves too. Perhaps that's why we find comfort in watching the sky. It mirrors something deep within us, the way memories rise and fade, the way moments come and go, the way everything is always changing, and yet still the same. Imagine standing beneath a sky you've known since childhood. The shapes of the clouds are different, but the feeling is the same. The wind still moves, the sun still climbs and falls, rain still finds its way home. The world turns, and the sky turns with it. Every generation has looked up at the same stars, felt the same wind, been caught in the same kinds of storms. Weather connects us across time. It makes our individual stories part of something far larger. Long ago, sailors read the wind to find their way home. Farmers watched the clouds to know when to plant. Children lifted their faces to falling snow, laughing at the sky's gentle touch. Today, satellites orbit above us, mapping storms, watching currents, yet the feeling of a breeze on your skin is the same as it was centuries ago. This is the quiet bridge between past and present. Some nights, when fog drifts low and the stars are hidden, it's easy to imagine how people once told stories about the sky. They saw gods in thunder, spirits in the wind, omens in the rain, and even now, with all we know, there's still a mystery to it, a sense of wonder that can't be measured or explained. Because the atmosphere isn't just science, it's emotion, it's memory, it's the weightless, endless thing that connects us all. Think of the first storm you remember. Think of the way it sounded, the rhythm of raindrops, the breath of wind against your window. Think of how small you felt, and yet how safe. Now think of the last time you stood in sunlight and closed your eyes, letting the warmth soak through your skin. That too is the sky's story, quiet, simple, timeless. Even the light we see from stars is memory. It left those stars long ago, travelled across space, across time, through our atmosphere, and into your eyes. Every star in the night sky is a message from the past, arriving gently at this very moment. Weather and time are woven together. Both are constant, both are fleeting. They shape the earth without asking permission, and in their rhythm we find our own. When you walk through a summer rain, you walk through ancient cycles water that has risen and fallen for billions of years. When the wind brushes your hair, it carries particles that have circled the globe countless times. When snowflakes fall, they mirror patterns carved long before you were born. You are part of the same story. In the grand, slow breathing of the earth, each of us is a moment, a heartbeat in the endless turning of the sky. And yet, even a moment matters. A single breath connects you to the first winds that moved across the oceans. A single raindrop connects you to rivers older than human memory. A single gust carries whispers from mountains, forests, and seas. This is why standing in the open air can feel like time itself is slowing down. Because for a moment, you and the sky are moving together. The sky does not keep clocks. It has no beginning and no end. It has only the endless now, the wind that moves, the light that bends, the water that falls and rises again. Time, for the sky, is not a line, it is a circle, and in that circle everything returns. The first sunrise you ever saw, the sound of a storm in the distance, the quiet of a foggy morning, the arc of a rainbow after the rain. These moments aren't gone. They live inside you, like echoes of the weather itself. Take a long, slow breath and let it go. Listen closely. The air around you carries stories older than language. You may not hear them in words, but they're there in the rustle of leaves, the hush before a storm, the way the night air cools the world after a long day. Somewhere, far away, a cloud is forming. Somewhere else, rain is falling on a quiet lake. Somewhere, wind is climbing the side of a mountain, carrying the scent of pine into the open air. These are not distant events. They are part of the same breath we all share. Time does not own the sky. The sky is time. And as this chapter draws to its quiet close, imagine the world turning slowly beneath it. The wind moving like a pulse. The clouds like thoughts drifting across a mind too vast to ever be still. And you, breathing, listening, resting inside it all. The storms, the fog, the rainbows, the wind, they're not separate stories. They're chapters of the same book. The book the atmosphere has been writing since the beginning. We are lucky to have been born beneath its pages. And now, as the night deepens, let the sound of the sky, its silence, its whispers, its soft rhythms cradle you. Let time slip away, like wind through your fingers. Let the memory of weather become your own. The sky remembers, and so do you. The night is quiet now. The storms have faded. The wind has calmed. The last threads of sunlight are long gone, and the sky stretches overhead like a deep, endless sea. We've wandered through the world of weather together, from gentle breezes to towering thunderstorms, from drifting fog to shimmering rainbows. We've stood beneath winter skies and summer suns, beneath clouds that whispered and storms that roared. And now, as the world grows still, the sky begins to hum its final, quiet song. Breathe in and breathe out. Feel the air enter your lungs, soft and cool. It carries the same quiet energy as the wind that has circled the earth 1,000 times. That breath is part of something vast, something eternal. The atmosphere has always been here. It held the first rains, carried the first winds, wrapped around the first forests, and whispered across the first oceans. Tonight, it wraps around you too, not as a storm, not as a gust, but as a gentle, patient embrace. Somewhere far above, the air is still moving, silent rivers of wind circling the globe. But here, where you are, it is calm, still, safe. The stars above hang like lanterns on an invisible ceiling, their light older than memory. The moon, if it's out tonight, glows softly. Even if you can't see it, you can feel it a distant presence, steady and quiet. The night sky doesn't rush. It doesn't demand. It simply waits. Weather is a language the sky uses to speak to the world. And tonight, language is silence. Close your eyes. Feel the weight of the blankets around you, the stillness of the room. The outside world can keep spinning, storms forming, winds shifting, raindrops falling, but right now, this moment belongs only to you. In this stillness, your breath and the breath of the world are the same. We often look at weather as something that happens to us, but in truth, we are part of it. Our breath is the atmosphere. Our stories are written under its changing skies. Every moment of warmth, every breeze, every quiet night is a thread in something far greater. As the night deepens, the world slows its pace. Crickets soften their songs. Trees rest in their stillness. Even the distant hum of the city grows quiet. This is the hour when the earth itself exhales. You can let go now. You don't need to hold on to thoughts or worries. You don't need to reach for tomorrow. The sky is already holding them for you. Breathe in and out. Feel the gentle weight of the air around you. It's the same air that drifts across mountains, slides over oceans, curls through quiet forests. It connects you to everything. Every star, every river, every breeze. Above you, even in darkness, the atmosphere glows faintly with the breath of the earth. This invisible ocean carries all the stories we've spoken tonight. Stories of storms and stillness, of heat and snow, of wind and time. Let those stories soften inside you. Let them become whispers instead of words. Let them drift the way clouds drift when the wind is gentle and the night is quiet. You are lying beneath the same sky that has watched over everything, the same sky that has carried countless breaths, the same sky that remembers. And now, the sky wants you to rest. Somewhere, a breeze is beginning its long journey. Somewhere else, fog is settling in a quiet valley. Far away, a storm is forming over warm seas. And closer still, stars shine down, steady and soft. All of it continues. All of it breathes. And you are part of it, even in your quiet. The world will keep turning. Winds will keep wandering. But you here, now, can drift away, gently, into sleep. The soft hum of the night surrounds you. The stars above hold their quiet vigil, and the air, kind and patient, wraps around you like a calm tide. You are safe, you are warm, you are part of the sky. Let your breathing slow even more. Let your mind grow soft. If thoughts come, let them pass like clouds drifting through a clear blue morning. You don't need to follow them. You don't need to hold them. The wind will carry them for you. In this space, there is no rush, no clock, no beginning, no end. Just the rhythm of air. Just the quiet heartbeat of the world. And as you slip further into this stillness, you may begin to feel weightless. Like fog drifting over a sleeping valley. Like a star suspended in an infinite sky. Like a feather caught in the softest breeze. The night holds you. The sky holds you. And nothing more is required of you now but to rest. Breathe in and let go. Imagine the world beneath a blanket of stars. Mountains sleeping, oceans breathing, cities quiet, forests listening, rivers resting in their beds. And above it all, the atmosphere soft, endless, moving gently like a slow tide. All of existence is breathing with you. Your heartbeat slows to match the world's. Your breath becomes the wind. Your mind becomes the stillness. The journey we've taken through weather isn't really ending. It's simply folding itself into your dreams. When you sleep, the world will keep turning, and the air will keep moving. Rain will fall somewhere. Sun will rise somewhere else. The wind will wander on, carrying stories from one dawn to the next, and you will rest. If you listen closely, you might almost hear it. The sound of the atmosphere breathing, the soft hush of fog, the faint sigh of wind, the quiet pulse of the sky. This is where your story and the world's story meet in the stillness between one breath and the next. You don't need to hold on to anything, just drift. The night is long, the stars are kind, the sky is waiting. Breathe in and out. The stories of rain and wind will be here tomorrow. The sun will rise when it's ready, but tonight belongs to sleep. Let the last of your thoughts dissolve like mist in morning light. Let the air cradle you like water cradles a leaf. Let time slow until it becomes just this one quiet, endless moment. You are safe. You are held. You are home beneath the sky. Sleep now, slowly, gently, deeply. The stars will keep watch, the wind will keep its rhythm, the sky will remember, and when you wake, the air will still be here, whispering softly, ready to tell you a new story.